It's time! Star Trek Into Darkness continue. Countdown starts with Star Trek Into Darkness! Hey everyone, Shannon here. Finally got out to see Star Trek Into Darkness, and finally, it's only been out a couple days. And I'm actually very happy that I was able to see it so quickly. There we go. Uh-oh, perfectionist mind setting in. You probably think I'm not a perfectionist, but it happens. Okay, so Star Trek Into Darkness. I saw it on Friday. It opened on Wednesday, but I saw it on Friday afternoon with my sisters and my brother-in-law, and we saw it in IMAX 3D. Oh, I don't see 3D. Well, they had this big opening sequence of like 10, 9, 8. I saw that, and then like the movie I saw zilch. Like literally, I actually didn't even see anything at all. But I never do. It's okay. So no worries there. But I'm just not going to comment on that. But it was like I like things in an IMAX or here. Also, they show stuff in AVX. And I like it because the sound's really good. I'm a real big fan of cool sound. So that was good. So I'm gonna just so you know, this review is going to be spoiler free. With reference to Star Trek Into Darkness, but I will probably make note of things that happened in Star Trek from 2009 because it gives the context for this film. So there's the spoilerness. I won't, yeah. Okay, so, and I hadn't seen any trailers. I saw a couple of images from commercials because they were just playing them so rampantly. I didn't know really anything about the film intentionally. However, I did know one huge spoiler, which really sucked. But it's one of those movies that, like the first Star Trek, they were actually very good at keeping a lot of the content away from the trailers and stuff like that. So I didn't have to be as crazy ridiculous as I was, and then as it turns out, I ended up knowing something anyway. Anyway, that's one of the problems I find about being in so many of the sort of communities is that its news is just I think the spoiler I've known for almost a year, which is crazy. Anyway, not gonna harp. So like the 2009 Star Trek, I was on edge for most of this film on whether or not I was liking it, whether or not I wanted, getting into the film, and I felt that a lot in this one. Like there were lots of little things I was like, And I like that in a lot of ways that it played to old fans and new fans. Being a fan of all of Star Trek, the only thing I haven't seen is the animated series. So I have a pretty good knowledge. So one comment or one reference, I'm kind of like, does that mean? Could that be, so I like that there is that content, but it also clearly plays to a new audience. I think you can see this you can probably even see it without even seeing the 2009 Star Trek. I don't think there's too many references to that anyway. But it's really weird because in a lot of ways, it's an action-adventure movie with lots of visuals. The visuals are crazy. I'm not saying they weren't good or anything, but it was just like there was so much. Everything, little leaves here, and just like the whole screen, the whole IMAX screen was just full of stuff. And it's gorgeous, but like, wow, that's a lot. But and there was also, and then so there's that side of it, and then the other side of it, there was all this like social political commentary, questions, experience versus age versus ethics versus all of these questions, and versus your own personal who you are versus who you can be versus all of these things. So it's weird because it's got those two things, which I'm good with both of those, especially the social political commentary and questions. Like honestly, I talked about it with my my sisters and my brother-in-law for hours afterwards about this and that, and which is one of the things I love about movies. I love doing that. But in a lot of ways, I didn't terribly feel like it was a science fiction movie. I didn't. Not so much. Like, sure, the setting, yeah, space travel, stuff, transporting, all that stuff. But it didn't overly feel like a science fiction movie. So that was weird. Even though one of the things I love about Star Trek is that it uses the science fiction genre to talk about social political commentary stuff. And it does that. but it just felt different. Anyway, so, and I did like a lot of times when it strayed from, what I wrote that, I like when it strayed. It strayed from what? Crap. That was a good thought. That was a good point. I just can't remember what it was. Like when it strayed from, I think it was something to do with the characters. When it did something different. Yeah, it did a few things that surprised me and shocked me, and I liked that. But I didn't feel like there was, even though there was a lot of excitement in the film, I didn't feel like there was a lot of tension. And for me, that was a little bit of a problem. And that wasn't so much in terms of the spoiler stuff that I inadvertently knew about. It was just, I just didn't feel like, the stakes were high, but I didn't feel like the stakes were high, which is bad, in my opinion. And it felt a lot more like the 2009 film than I thought it would. I really felt like the 2009 Star Trek was setting us up for this new thing. Hey, look, we figured out a way to take this world in an entirely new direction, but you'll still like, know, and love it. And then I felt like they were convincing us of that again, as opposed to actually just rocketing off from that launch pad. I felt like we were still on that launch pad, needing that not needing the convincing, but it sort of was just like, hey, you might be in trouble, you might not like this. Oh no, you do like it. You'll like it. It'll be okay. It's Star Trek. And I'm like, I was already there. Like, and I admit, I know the series more than most people, but I felt like, I'm like, oh no, I got that. I was there. I was ready to go for more, and this felt like it was a little bit of the same. And I don't mean content-wise. I mean, contextually. Like, it was it was similar but different, and that's not what I was expecting. And if you need and J.J. Abrams does do this, and it also, in that sense, the similar but different sense, it reminds me of Lost Season 2. Similar but different. I actually didn't have a problem with Lost Season 2. I know a lot of people did, but I also watched it on DVD, which is different than if you waited the time between seasons, and then it was like, what? So that's sort of the reaction I had here with that. Sorry if that's sort of like weird and vague for non-Lost fans, but for me, that's what it was. It felt sort of similar but different, but I'm like, I was already on board, so I didn't need any more convincing, so I felt like I missed out on being able to enjoy the newness. And I'm like, I'm all for newness. Like, I bought into, okay, this is new Trek. We don't need to have to, reiterate other stuff. And, not that I don't like homages or notations to the universe. I do. A lot. But I thought we were going to do something else. So that was kind of weird. And I feel like this is feeling negative, but it's not. It's also really weird when I review the other films. I've seen them all multiple times. I've thought about them for years, so I have very, lots of memories. With this, it's like I saw it 2 days ago, so I'm still wrestling through it, which is good, but my initial reaction, is it a good film? Yes. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Was it what I expected? No. How do I feel about it? I'm still working through that. I did enjoy it. I will definitely buy it. I will definitely repeat watch it. But in some ways, it doesn't get my heart like classic Star Trek did or the TV series did. And the first Star Trek from 2009, that got me. But that got me in the beginning of the film and throughout the film. But the spirit of this one is very different. There's a lot of comedy, which is great. Star Trek always has comedy. But there was a lot of comedy. Like, a lot of comedy. And I wish some of the characters had a little bit more than what was mostly comedy, specifically Uhura and Bones. Bones is almost all comedy. There's a very little story with his character, which sucks because his character is great. But as I mentioned in the Star Trek review I did, I think the new trio is Uhura, Kirk, and Spock, and I think we really continue to feel it here. But even so, I felt like Uhura could have a little more gusto, like a little more story with her character. But I did like what she did, and I really I like her character a lot, and I like the performance a lot. And the performances were really good, you know, like I think Chris Pine, like I totally feel him as Kirk, totally. I'm still on the fence with Zachary Quinto as Spock. Not on the fence, he's good, but it's a bit of a different interpretation, and so I'm kind of, you know, I don't know, I'm still processing. Still processing! I'm not Data. I need more time. But, yeah. And it also I thought it opened some doors at different places it can go, and then it didn't go there, which is fine. Actually, I think that's a sign of a good movie, where you think, you know, not that it's bamboozling you or anything like that, but it's just, you know, while you're watching it, you're not sure what's going to happen because there's multiple outcomes, which I think is actually something thematically that, you know, relevant. So anyway, so I don't know. So Star Trek Into Darkness, did I like it? Yes. Will I watch it again? Yes. Will I buy it? Yes. Yes. All that stuff. You know, I am really, really mad about the spoiler alert. If you want to know what it is, PM me. Please do not put spoilers in the comments. Please do not put spoilers in the comments. This film was definitely intended to have certain things not spoiled, just like the previous Star Trek, and it would be really horrible if someone accidentally found out some of the really, really key elements. If you want to know what I found out, feel free to PM me or DM me or whatever it's called, and I'll tell you. Yeah, so there's that. So I want to say a big thank you and shout out to Sean, Mike, Kevin, and Brian for playing along. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing your reviews of Star Trek Into Darkness. I did create a playlist, I'll put it there, of all of our reviews of all of the films. It's like epic long. It's so awesome. It's been so much fun to watch them all together, and everyone who watched all the reviews, thank you for participating and enjoying the journey as well. I hope you enjoyed the film. I'm actually really curious. I haven't read any reviews yet at all. I have no sense if people enjoyed, like, grand scope of things or YouTube-wise or anything. I have no sense how people are reacting to the film, because I went on media blackout, like social media blackout on Thursday early, and I didn't go onto Facebook, and, you know, I didn't load up anything because I'm like, I don't want to know. I do not want to know. I like to be spoiler free. So close yet so far, and that really did tailor my experience, and that's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to seeing the movie again and again, because, you know, it makes a difference. So it makes a difference. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the reviews and the journey and all that craziness. I wish I was a little more enthusiastic about this one, but marathons are hard that way because, you know, I have to be honest about my reaction, and I'm sitting back a little bit, and there's some things I'm not happy about. There were definitely two gender things, and I'm like, seriously? In Trek? Seriously? You know, they were just visuals, but it's just, that's not Trek. Trek is about, you know, it's about egalitarianism, and part of that, I think, needs to be reflected. They're very minor, but they're there, and they're there for a reason, and I don't like that, so whatever. But in general, did I like the film? Yes. Did it get my heart? Not as much. And there was laughter. There was actually laughter in the theater at one moment. If you want to know that, feel free to DM me as well, because I understood why they were laughing. But there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, and also it started really late. Like, what the heck? We saw it in IMAX, and when we went into the theater, they said it was going to start on time. And it started to start on time, but nuh-uh-uh. We saw the first, 5 seconds of the one trailer they were going to show, and then they stopped it because so many people don't arrive to films on time. And I'm assuming, we collectively as a group, when I was with my family, we were assuming that that's why they didn't start it on time, is that so many people weren't there yet. And the entire contingent that was of 13 people or whatever that was to my right, they didn't show up on time. And I think that's part of film culture, and they only showed one trailer. They showed the Man of Steel trailer, which was really long. I didn't want to see that. I was happy with the teaser-ish trailer, and it actually looks much better than I had anticipated, and looks really heartfelt. And yeah, so anyway, show up to movies on time. It was fine. I'm actually glad that they delayed it. That would have been better than having people walk back and forth all the time. That's especially in that theater. It's not bright enough for you to be able to do that anyway. I have a hard time with the lights on, for crying out loud. Okay, that's really it. That's it. Star Trek Into Darkness. Thank you so much for watching.